saying that a normal democracy.
Well, if you can't understand it,
when the
sir.
Marxists come, they take
No,
away the
you
right
don't
to
understand
vote.
what you're talking about.
Well, you
That's the
haven't listened to me.
problem. My friend.
Do you know why this tree is so big? Because do you know why this is the biggest tree in London? Because every week on a Sunday, it's fed a.
That in spite of the available commodities, ideas are more interesting than commodities. Ideas. And ideas are able to transform society if human beings connect those ideas with the material condition of man. In other words, the struggle to take over the running of society, to administer the society, to make a society in the image of human beings, rather than the image of the acquisition of capital, the accumulation of capital. And that, my friend, keeps coming back. Whether we like it or not, whether you like it or not, it keeps coming back. It expresses itself in a million ways.
But I'll never vote for it.
You will never vote for it, my friend. You tell me you never vote for it. But I tell you, you will. You will. Not because I want you to, but because your condition will compel you to. Do you believe in blacks having the right to vote? Yes, why? Why should you have the right to vote? What do you mean? Are they human beings? So in other words, there is a human right they should have. Should women have the right to vote? Why? They're human beings. But once upon a time, we didn't have in South Africa, I remember, where I used to protest. They didn't have the right to vote. Was I right to protest? I wasn't right to protest.
I don't know.
Against apartheid in South Africa.
He doesn't know.
Where the black didn't have the right to vote. Was it right to protest against that? Yes. Now when they go to war and drop bombs on Iraq, Afghanistan, am I right to protest against that? Right. So, did you protest? No, you didn't protest because you see, you thought they'd keep doing you a favour.
I was working.
Pay you some money. You get on in life, fine. If I shut my mouth, don't complain, it's fine. But of course, the reason why you want to vote is so you can do something with it. Nowadays, if there was a new war start up, they bomb, what country are you from?
Me?
Yeah. Somalia. So if the British decide to go and bomb Somalia, you agree with that?
No.
Would you oppose it?
There's nothing I can do.
Would you oppose? No, we mean nothing you can do.
They're doing it.
The British do it. Even now they're doing it.
There's enough damage there.
By what's
Spain
the name?
state already, so they don't
That's
need
true.
to go.
That's true.
They
That's
don't
true.
need to go.
It's the impotency of the condition. It's true. No, it's true. There are a lot of Somalians who are despondent. They're so despondent because so many years their country's degenerated into nothing. And therefore, there is a despondency. I accept that.
Yeah,
it's probably reflected in the man's opinion.
For another discussion.
Probably reflected in a man's opinion. However, the question is, in the most advanced capitalist countries, in the richer countries, we have the capacity to alter, to shape, to affect, to win. If your employer tells you how much you get away, an hour, how much you get paid an hour, roughly?
From self-employed.
Oh, self-employed. This is why the mentality is self-employed. Okay. If you're working for somebody else and you get paid £6, £7, £10 an hour, and you can't make your living, the worker organise. You want an improvement. You want a better condition. Doesn't want it to be worse. If the employer turns around and says it's going to be worse, you're going to get less. You're going to work longer, get less. Of course, there's a conflict, and from that conflict, the fundamental conflict under capitalism, emerges the idea of socialism. Not from speakers at Speaker's Corner, but from the fundamental conflicts within the system itself, which give rise to unification of working people. Not because workers like to go on strike or carry red flags or talk communism, but because the idea of socialism, of democratic collective administration of the commanding heights of the economy, correspond to the needs of the majority of the population. That's the reason why. So that's why socialism re-emerges. If it was a complete irrelevance to society, it would just gradually wither away and disappear.
This was
And be forgotten. Sorry?
And even you tried in Africa, like Ethiopia, Mengistu, he tried. Somalia, Siad Barre, he tried. Tanzania, what do you call it, Julius, he tried. They all failed. It doesn't work.
The question is, what is socialism? Is socialism simply collective ownership?
Distributing of wealth, doing nothing.
Is it the distribution of wealth?
Doing nothing and getting.
No, it's not. It's not. Is it just the distribution of wealth? If I take over a feudal country, a country only based on agriculture, or primarily based on agriculture, and I decide to distribute the wealth, is that a social society?
What wealth anyway?
If I nationalise the land in an agricultural country and share the wealth out, is that socialism?
No, it's
According to you, it is.
According to me.
According to him, it is. And undoubtedly, it's true that Mengistu said it was. And therefore, it appears to be logical. He says it is. Well, they say it is. They say other people, America and Britain, they say it is. And therefore, if the label is on you, then it must be that. However, the question I'm asking is, as a Marxist, I stand up here in order to clarify what things are, scientifically what they are, rather than what you might imagine them to be, or what people label them as. People label them as. Once you go underneath the surface of the appearance, you nationalise an agricultural society, you can never establish socialism. Never. How? Socialism is based upon the development of technology and the utilisation of the most advanced technology for the liberation of the labour and intelligence and culture of man. In an agricultural society, you have not industrialised. You're still digging the land with a hoe. How can you establish democratic control of that society if you're just digging with a hoe? You can't. Comes back to the question the man asked at the beginning. How can I distribute my apartment to everybody? I can't. Nor can you. Until such time as we have sufficient housing available to all. In fact, a surplus of housing. And then you can pick and choose. But unless you have a surplus, if you have a shortage of housing, people will fight about it. If we don't even have cities, people will fight about the land. People will turn one man into the appendage of a tool to extract wealth from them. You'll get a lot of other poorer peasants to work for you. So you can sit back and get their work for you. That's an inevitable tendency in a backward country, economically backward. That is why in the Soviet Union and China, it was absolutely impossible to establish socialism. Absolutely impossible to establish socialism. In China today, even today, 60 years after the founding of the People's Republic of China, 600 million people, the majority, work on the land. 600 million. So in other words, the foundation for socialism and communism, even to this day, has not been created in China. The foundation, the starting point, point A, has not been reached.
Anywhere in the world, actually.
Sorry?
Anywhere in the world.
Well, you're quite correct. It has, however, been reached in the most advanced industrial spheres in China, in England, in part. That's correct. Now, what we've argued is, as Marxists, is that you can take over the commanding heights of the economy, the richest industrial infrastructure in the world, and through controlling that, you can raise the rest of the world, even the backward agricultural areas, out of backwardness, and through democratic administration, advance their condition into the 21st century more rapidly than capitalism can do. That's the law. That's why Somalia is so backward, because Somalia under capitalism was never able to develop. Africa as a whole under capitalism has never been able to develop.
So they were under socialism because of Said Barre.
If you have, I just told you that's not socialism. If you had Europe, America, Japan, maybe China now, Eastern Europe, Russia, if you had the industrial might of these countries under the democratic administration of the working class, the commanding heights, infrastructure, roads, railways, health service, education system, housing, electronics, steel industry, shipbuilding, airports, aircraft construction, all the key sectors of the economy. If you have them in public hands and under the democratic control of the population, out of the working class administering the operation, then you can plan the development of the resources of the planet for the benefit of all.